What's going on, guys? Megakaza1 here. Time to do a review of the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super. So this week's episode was the big one. Episode 100 featured as a milestone for Super, as many people didn't think that it would get to 100 episodes a couple of years ago when it was first released. Anyways, back onto the episode. So basically the episode starts off with Krillin as he has been eliminated from the Universe 7 team, and Gohan, Piccolo, Tien Shenhan, and Master Roshi are all sort of just saying, you should have stayed with us, and then Roshi calms them down and saying, well, look at it as a bright side. We've got 9 fighters left rather than having no one. So then they begin. Then it cuts away from them. Then what it goes straight into then is Vegeta's versing Batama and Vegeta again. And then all of a sudden, it goes for about 5 seconds, and then Cabba arrives. I don't know where Vegeta and Batama go, but wherever they go, I have no idea. But anyways, they go away, and Cabba arrives, and he takes out 2 fighters. I don't know who the other fighter was, but one of them was the team leader of Universe 3, and I'll get into that a bit later. But basically, I like the bit where Cabba goes master, and then, but what I'll get onto my thoughts soon. Basically, they sort of begin to sort of fight each other, or they don't. They have a stare off, and then they go close to each other, and Vegeta looks really angry. Probably because he's like thinking, Cabba, why you waste your time against me? Then it cuts to Kale, who's trying to punch this weird fighter. He looks like an octopus or something, and she gets manhandled. And then the big fat pink dude who looks like Rikishi from WWE, he slams her to the ground. Then Kale's a useless fighter until I'll go on to it, but then she starts to sulk, and Kale says, Khalifa comes over and says that Khalifa saves her, and Khalifa says that she needs to rest. So Khalifa eliminates those 2 fighters that sort of dismember Kale, and then she wants them to. Kale then talks to Khalifa, and then Khalifa's like, "Go berserker," or whatever it is. Go your most powerful, and she's like, "I want you to beat Goku." And then Goku's fighting Yadara from Universe 2, and then Khalifa comes over and just she doesn't actually eliminate the Yadara. He actually teleports at the last minute if you have a look. Then he actually goes on to Goku approaches Khalifa, and Goku fights Khalifa, and Khalifa's like, "Oh, can you teach me Super Saiyan Blue?" And then Goku's like, "No, not yet." And he's like, "You don't even know Super Saiyan 2 yet." Then Khalifa transforms to Super Saiyan 2. They begin to fight. That fight lasts for a pretty good while, and then they go. Khalifa's like, "Oh, she gets really arrogant," and Goku's like, "Oh, well, maybe we can fight in Super Saiyan 3. Well, and that really tempts her to, it really entices her to see if she can achieve it. Then the funny thing is Kale fires a Kai Blast at Goku as they're fighting. This was funny, and then Goku deflects it, and he's like, "Hey, woman, don't interfere." And then Khalifa just looks at her and then turns her head and just she's disappointed. And then Kale she begins to cry, and then she turns into the Broly type character. Goku then has to turn in Super Saiyan Blue, just because of how strong Kale is. And then you've got basically Kale ends up losing control of her power after her relentless assault on Goku. And then it's just then the problem here with Kale is she becomes a target. After she loses all her power, she just goes insane and she basically nearly kills half the field. I think she took out about 4 or 5 fighters, but she made this big explosion that would have probably taken out half the field. And then you've got the Pride Troopers like standing on top of this rock. I don't know why they're standing there when they should be fighting, but then you got them standing on there, and then bang, Topo said something, and he's like, I think it was like her voice, she kept screaming, and he's like, her voice is even that powerful. And then Jiren finally does something. He like goes away, and Topo's like, Jiren, what are you doing? And Jiren's like, I'm ending this. And then what happens is there's a Pride Trooper who, I think his name was Voon or something, Vuon, and he's got this sort of move like Wonder Woman does, the lasso of truth, except it's to do with criminals, and I guess it keeps them away from not doing, criminal actions. Then what happened was this character Vuon, he ended up getting eliminated. A problem here I didn't like was we didn't actually see him get eliminated, but we assumed that he did, so I don't know why they couldn't just show it. Then we had when Kale was just called off. Oh, she went to. I don't know who she was punching. Like, she looked like she was going to punch Khalifa, just where it was on the screen. But then it wouldn't have been. But then Topo comes, bang. He does something and then puts her up in an energy blast, and then drops her off. And then Topo stares at hits like, oh, you. And then Kale comes back to the ground when she's like normal, and then Khalifa and Hit take her away. And then Goku finds Jiren, and Jiren's like looking at Goku, and then it ends the episode. Yeah, so that was the summary, but there are some things that I'll get onto the things that I liked first, and then I'd leave the stuff where I didn't like. Well, I liked how they had the Khalifa and Goku fight. That was a really good fight. I liked how they had interactions between like Master Roshi and Tien Shinhan and Gohan Piccolo, because realistically they're the only two that are the only 4 that are actually going to team up on Universe 7 from what we've seen. And it looks like it's going to turn out good for them when you team up, but we'll find out. But and then I like the how Jiren came and saved the day, I guess. Yeah, and overall it was a good episode, but there were some negatives, and I'm going to get onto them now. I'll start off with the main one, is why did Jiren not just eliminate Kale? Like, what was the point of him putting her in an energy blast or some type of field, and then she just drops, back into the ring? Like, why not just eliminate her? That was a bit confusing to me. And it seems like it was a bit of poor writing, because it's like, oh, well, it's like, I guess it's Toei's way of saying, oh, well, we're going to keep her in this, but like, yeah, so we needed like Jiren to make a statement, but technically he didn't because she's not eliminated. Yeah, that was a bit annoying, I guess, for me, because I'm a bit sort of clinical on those things, or critical. So then one thing I also did not like was why Cabba and Vegeta were going to fight now. Like, I don't know, is the intro off-leading? Is it off-putting? We're meant to see Vegeta fight Teletubby Lady, so I'm confused. Like, and he's in Super Saiyan 2. Like, I'm assuming he'll verse Cabba in Super Saiyan Blue, because he bloody one-shot Cabba in Super Saiyan Blue, unless Cabba's got Super Saiyan Blue. So I have no idea why they were going to fight so early. I thought they were going to leave it to like sort of last, but who knows? Maybe they won't fight now. Maybe it's just because technically they didn't fight. They just like looked at each other, and Vegeta looked angry, and then they mentioned like Vegeta's like, "Who's that power?" And then Cabba's like, "Oh, that's Kale." And then another thing I didn't like was I would have been fine with it if they didn't make it them sort of like a big deal, and they focused on a little like 3-minute segment, was if you remember Universe 3, that little robot Cybertron universe, those two best fighters from their universe were taken out by Hit and Kaba. But what I couldn't understand was the guy Kaba took out, I think it was Nigarishi or someone. He was meant to be their best fighter, yet he got taken out so easily by Kaba. Now, I'm not saying, like, Kaba isn't strong and all, but what was annoying, I guess, for me as a viewer, was they focused on a little segment. I think it was episode number 89 or number 90. Like, or even, I think it was like 91 or something. Like, why did they even focus on those in the first place? If they didn't show those fighters, or just like showed them, arrive at the tournament, I wouldn't have had a problem. But the problem I have was they made out that this guy was their best fighter, yet he got eliminated. But this is like just inconsistencies with the show, though, I guess for me, is now we've been led on to believe that Universe 10 is the weakest universe, yet why has that main guy, I forgot his name, it's like the big dude, like with the muscles of the bald head, why is he not being eliminated? Like first we saw him, he had like 2-3 segments on himself, little segments, but we have yet to see a fight between him and then this guy who's meant to be their best fighter comes straight out by Kaba. Look, the only thing I have an issue with here is the tournament's going to be really quick. You can see that coming from a mile away. There's no way that it's going to go for more than 10 episodes. I think it's gone for about four now. I think 4. I'm going to say 4 or 5. After seeing, like, basically, I'd say 30-40% of the fighters taken out, man, it's going to be, I reckon, under 10 episodes. I will say one thing that really, it's not with the episode, it's just with like the whole itself of the tournament. There's 4 warriors that we have yet to see. 2 from Universe 4, and then according to TN, he could sense their power, but couldn't see them, which makes me believe that there's some type of like shapeshifter or something, or they can manipulate the they can sort of, I don't know, turn into an insect or some stupid thing. But one thing I don't like is, why did they distinctly not show the Universe 6 other fighters? So we've got Magetta, Botamo, Frost, Kaba, Khalifa, Kale, and Hit. We've all seen those fighters, right? Now there was the Pig Man. We have yet to see him fight. I don't know, like, why is he even in the tournament? Then we've got 2 other fighters who they didn't show, but they were like in sort of a cloudy mist. Like, why are they hiding these characters? It's not a placeholder. It's not as if we're paying to see these characters, for DLC or something. They need to show these characters. They're just lazy, if you ask me. Like, if they showed the characters, I wouldn't be so annoyed. It's because they have this tendency, Toei, to like sort of put these like characters. They probably won't even be in the show. This is what'll annoy me. And they're meant to have 10 fighters, but oh well. But overall, it was a good episode. I hope you really liked the review. I guess if you like to hear me babble for like 15 minutes, well, thanks for listening. If not, well, I try my best to keep the audience entertained. So if you haven't checked out this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, check it out now. If you watch this video, I've probably summed up a lot of it, but you can still watch it. I didn't spoil scene by scene. And you certainly can enjoy it, I guess, if you don't mind being spoiled. But anyways, have a good day, guys, and I'll see you next time.